Hey guys, today I am going to be cooking a corned beef on my wood stove in my cast iron Dutch oven. Now I believe it's an 8 to 10 inch Dutch oven. It is a little rusty. We're going to be going over that, how to take care of that. I do have a lid, and I have a 2.3 pound brisket tip cut that we are going to be making a corned beef from. Now, cooking on a wood stove is not an optimal thing, but what I'm going to do today is Saturday, and I'm going to let this just go all day, and then maybe into the night. I'm going to make sure the water doesn't come off it, and then tomorrow I can put my carrots and my onions and my whatever, mushrooms and all that stuff that I'm going to be putting in here. The very first thing I have to do is, this has been sitting on my stove, because what happens is the more mass you have, the longer it holds. So at night when the fire goes low, this is still radiating heat. It's been off the stove for, I'm going to say, half an hour, because I took a brush and just brushed out the rust, and it is still warm. In fact, I can just barely hold it. Right now it's getting hot. Okay, I really want you to be able to see this. This is not a bad thing. Okay, I get a little bit of rust on my hand. That's not a bad thing, because the flavors from the last thing Wendy cooked all day on the fire are going to be in there, and it's seasoned. But what we're going to do is we don't want that rust to be permeable. That's not good for the cast iron. Now, I have here some cheap vegetable oil. Okay, doesn't even have to be cheap. I'm going to dump a little in there, and I'm going to rub it around. Now, the cool thing is the vegetable oil isn't going to hurt the pan, it's going to help the pan. Okay, but I'm just going to rub that around in there, and see it's taking care of a lot of the rust. And because this is warm, the pores of the metal are going to be slightly open, so it's going to absorb that oil. Okay. Now I'm going to use and that's all I'm going to do to treat this. Okay, and afterwards, after I'm done cooking, I am going to wipe it out, do basically the same thing I just did with the oil, and place it back on the stove for radiant heat and storage. Now note, I am also using, because it's a wood stove, a cast iron Dutch oven that does not have the legs on it. It does have the cover, and I want to hit that with just a little bit. There's not too much in there. Just a little bit, just to make sure it's good. But it does have this lip. You can place coals on top of this, but we're not going to be needing that today. My wood stove is not meant to cook on. You have the firebox, and then you have this non-flammable mat in there. And I'm going to leave that right in there. Okay, I'm not going to change my stove at all. But it's just to keep the fire from overheating that metal on top. Right out of that package. Oh, look at that. That's a nice piece of meat. Look at that fat. That's going to make for some nice flavor. I'm going to put that up. Interestingly enough, corned beef comes from, back when they had the railways, they used these spices to store the meat, the salt and the corn, these seasonings, they would pack the meat in wooden barrels. The nitrates and all in them would make the meat last on long train trips. And when they got the meat, they're like, oh wow, this is actually really good. I am going to just sprinkle this on top. Rubbing it in. And this is what I have here. I have the meat with some of its juices and the corn on top of it. Alright, even though I am just simmering this, the meat still has to get to an internal temperature where the meat is rendered safe. This is beef brisket, so we're going to make sure it actually gets cooked so it can kill anything that might be in the meat. Oh, there you are, Peter. Okay, now the oil, the reason it's got a white tint to it is because of the oil that is in there and the fat. Okay, but now I am going to cover this and I will see you at the wood stove. I'm just going to set that right up here. And I'm going to leave the handle up so I'll be able to grab it. And I've got the fire going. These are old irons that you would take and you would put on your wood stove or your wood cook stove. And you would take and you would season them kind of like you do this to keep them from rusting. And you would iron. The women would iron with these. There's little handle holes that you could, ow, that's hot. Half an hour, we are boiling. Ain't that nice? That fat all off that. We are only 40 minutes in, and she is boiling over a lot. Can you see that in there? I have closed the draft to the stove, and I'm thinking about closing the damper if it keeps trying to boil over on me. Hey y'all, welcome back. This is a culmination of cooking the corned beef brisket on the wood stove in my Dutch oven. What I did was it cooked the first day. It was fully cooked. The center of the meat made it well above 170 degrees, and then I shut the stove down and just let it just warm away. The next day I was in a hurry. That's the reason I didn't get the shots that I was wanting of taking it off and when it was done in the Dutch oven, which is right there. I made sure it did not go dry. I left it on the stove. The stove was shut down while I went to church. When I got back from church, I immediately cut up some carrots, some onions, and put some baby potatoes in there. And let it heat back up. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you what's left of the brisket. Now this is delicious. Carrot. It's cold. It was in the refrigerator. That is awesome. Now this is just for my leftovers. Now it's got a funny color to it. Probably because of the oils and stuff in the cast iron. Because remember, you don't wash your cast iron. You wipe it out and re-season it. No soap touches my cast iron. But this, look at that, nice and pink in there. Even the most finicky eater I know, my friend Matt, said that it was delicious. So there you go, a corned beef brisket cooked in a Dutch oven on a wood stove. I'm not the best cook in the world, but I don't think I'm the worst anymore. Hey, if you got any value out of this video, go ahead and click the like button, the subscribe button, and that little notification bell so that you get notified every time I come out with new content. Check out the description below. All my links are down there. Y'all have a great day, and God bless.